With the Oscars less than 2 weeks away, I wanted to take some time to take a closer look at this year's 20 acting nominees and discuss my personal thoughts, the snubs, the surprises, which ones I agree with, and which ones I just flat out don't. Because every year the Academy comes up with their picks, and every year there's a general feeling that someone was left out. These are my 2022 acting Oscar nominee picks. First, the category of Best Supporting Actress is easily the weakest of the four. Kirsten Dunst from The Power of the Dog is a clear choice for me as an emotional and alcoholic widow just trying to hold it together on the male-dominated Montana frontier. Ariana DeBose is likely to become the second person to win for a portrayal of West Side Story's Anita, and while I do think she's the real MVP of the film, I would like to see something a bit more original take home the award. Also in the running is Jessie Buckley and Anjanae Ellis from The Lost Daughter and King Richard, respectively. Both played memorable roles in memorable films, but I wouldn't say they made the movies for me the way Dunst and DeBose did. And then there's Dame Judi Dench. I liked her in Belfast, but come on, she's barely in the movie. But I guess that keeps in tune with her 1999 win for Shakespeare in Love, a movie she was in less than 10 minutes of. There were a total of four actresses I think would have made better additions to the lineup. First off is one of the more popular choices for who got snubbed this year, Ruth Negga for Passing. This adaptation of the novel of the same name was a little too soft in its handling of themes, I felt, but its greatest asset has to be Nega's performance as a black woman passing for white, hiding her race even from her own husband. Although Coda is represented in multiple categories, including Best Picture, the Academy excluded Marlee Matlin for her role as a caring mother of a hearing daughter. Matlin's appearances on screen have been sparse for the last 30 years, despite having won an award for Children of a Lesser God all the way back in the 80s. Keeping with the theme of motherhood, the Academy also left out Melina Smith for Parallel Mothers, and Polly Draper for Shiva Baby, a movie that me and maybe 5 other people saw in 2021. I don't think you could consider either of them household names, but they both stuck out to me in their individual films much more than any of the actual nominees. So my picks for Best Supporting Actress are Polly Draper, Shiva Baby, Kirsten Dunst, The Power of the Dog, Marlee Matlin, Coda, Ruth Negga, Passing, and Melina Smith, Parallel Mothers. Best Supporting Actor is a smidgen better, and by that I mean there's 2 actors I really liked instead of just one. My favorite of the 5 is Troy Kotsur, who stands out as the only nominated actor for Coda and as the first deaf performer since Matlin to be nominated for an Oscar ever. I'm also going to pick Cody Smith-McPhee for Power of the Dog. On the surface, he doesn't look like much, but much like the movie itself, Smith-McPhee carries himself with a quiet and cunning intensity that really holds this slow-moving piece together. I couldn't care less about J.K. Simmons in Being the Ricardos. Unless he's shouting about Spider-Man or cussing out Miles Teller, I doubt it'll be my new favorite performance from him. Kieran Hines had one really memorable scene in Belfast, but just like his co-star Dench, it's not enough to merit a spot. Jesse Clemens was definitely an important part of The Power of the Dog, acting as an integral part of the movie's commentary on toxic versus positive masculinity, but do we really need 2 performances from the same movie in the same category? Kelvin Harrison Jr. is an up-and-comer who I've liked a little more with every movie I've seen him in, and he definitely had me won over as a romantic young soldier in Cyrano. Cody Smith-McPhee is getting a lot of attention for being this year's youngest nominated actor, but I would have one-upped him by selecting 13-year-old Woody Norman from Come On, Come On, a touching and smart family drama about an uncle and nephew learning from one another. And my real out-of-left-field pick, Vincent Lindon from Titane. This movie about a female serial killer disguising herself as a male after being impregnated by a car was one of the most emotional thrill rides I went on this year. Lyndon plays a man so distraught from losing his son years earlier that he somehow comes around to convincing himself that Agatha Roselle is the lost boy returned, and it is heartbreaking. My choices for Best Supporting Actor are Kelvin Harrison Jr., Cyrano, Troy Kotsur, Coda, Vincent Lindon, Titane, Woody Norman, Come On, Come On, Cody Smith-McPhee, The Power of the Dog. Both of the leading categories are tied for the most nominees that I agree with, which is 3 each. In Best Leading Actress, you have Olivia Colman, who, to no surprise to anyone, is fantastic in The Lost Daughter. I love how ever since The Favorite, myself and many other viewers went from having never heard of her to always excited to whatever she's going to do next. Parallel Mothers star Penelope Cruz has never put in a bad performance, especially when she's working with Pedro Almodovar. Then there's Kristen Stewart in Spencer. Much like her Twilight co-star Robbie Patty, Stewart was made to look like she couldn't act by those god-awful vampire flicks. I'm really hoping she wins for her portrayal of Princess Diana, but I have a gut feeling she's going to lose to Nicole Kidman for being the Ricardos. Kidman was fine as Lucille Ball. I just don't think it's something to make your jaw hit the floor about. She wasn't anybody's first choice for Lucy, but I don't think anybody looks at her long and wide-ranged career and thinks she can't pull it off. Jessica Chastain was the only thing I liked about The Eyes of Tammy Faye, a bland and mechanical biopic about the wife of disgraced televangelist Jim Bakker. Chastain makes Tammy's gaudy makeup and eccentric style feel human, even though the movie she's in is so superficial and doesn't have as much to say about its subject as it thinks it does. There's a lot of people who think Lady Gaga should have been nominated for House of Gucci, but I disagree. Jennifer Hudson was also a fan favorite for playing Aretha Franklin in Respect, which I liked but felt was rather conventional. More impressive were Alana Haim for Licorice Pizza and Agatha Rousselle for Titane. Haim's fierce debut in Paul Thomas Anderson's coming-of-age comedy was by far my favorite performance of 2021, and Rousselle is nothing short of committed in Julia Ducournau's What Do You Think It Means body horror instant classic. Now, these were performances and movies that really broke the mold. For Best Leading Actress, I chose Olivia Colman, The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz, Parallel Mothers, Alana Haim, Licorice Pizza, Agatha Rousselle, Titane, Kristen Stewart, Spencer. In the Best Leading Actor category, you have 3 veteran nominees who have all yet to see the gold. Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom, and Will Smith for King Richard. I think this is finally Smith's year. While not as captivating as his tear-jerking work in The Pursuit of Happiness, King Richard is still a moving Hollywood drama about the persistence of a loving father. Cumberbatch is absolutely daunting as a closeted cowboy who puts up a tough guy front to mask his own insecurities, but my favorite is definitely Andrew Garfield, whose quirkiness and spunk successfully brings this adaptation of the play it's based on to the screen, while also paying loving tribute to the theatrical roots where the late Jonathan Larson first found his success. Anybody who's seen No Country for Old Men knows playing Desi Arnaz is beneath someone like Javier Bardem. And I don't need to see Denzel Washington feign Shakespeare to know that both him and Frances McDormand are 2 of the greatest living actors in the world. Left out of the pool is none other than Nicolas Cage for Pig, a dense yet intimate drama about loss and tragedy that's like if John Wick was more like In the Bedroom. Cage has become something of a meme over the last 10 years, and his strange on-screen persona and public perception have begun to merge, thus creating such oddities as Mandy and the upcoming unbearable weight of massive talent. Nevertheless, this is easily his best work since leaving Las Vegas. Another musical performance that should have been on the Academy's voters' ballots was Anthony Ramos for In the Heights. I seem to be one of the few people who preferred this movie to Spielberg's remake of West Side Story. Ramos is better than anyone in that movie, and the reason I think that is because the character of Yusnavi feels so lived in. It helped that the movie was based on a play by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who grew up in a family and neighborhood of immigrants, which is likely why it feels so much more authentic than one by a couple of white Americans. Ramos is captivating and really makes his character's story feel like his own. It just works so much better because it feels so much more real. My picks for Best Leading Actor are Nicolas Cage, Pig, Benedict Cumberbatch, The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield, Tick, Tick, Boom, Anthony Ramos, In the Heights, Will Smith, King Richard. Before I head out, I'd like to talk about a few choices I had for best ensembles of 2021. These would be movies that didn't have 1 or 2 specific performances that should get Oscars, but ones with recognition that should kind of go to a collective. The first of these would be Dune. Frank Herbert's sci-fi epic finally got the adaptation it deserves, with a huge cast of characters that each feel distinct and play an important role in this action-packed epic. The French Dispatch. Wes Anderson, as usual, puts together another ensemble of quirky weirdos for a brilliant comedy set in Europe, based around a fictional culture magazine, The Humans. This movie, based on a play of the same name, follows a family at Thanksgiving dinner as they are forced to confront the causes of their own personal sufferings. Mass. This has to be one of the saddest and most grief stricken ensembles I've seen in a very long time. It's the story of the parents of a school shooting victim and the parents of a school shooter who meet for the first time and discuss all the pain and revelations they've had since the tragedy. No sudden move, combining racial politics of the 1960s with traditional neo-noir tropes, this Steven Soderbergh-directed crime thriller is just chock full of surprises, as well as a brilliant A-list cast. Well, those are my picks. Tell me who you think should have been nominated down in the comments. Until next time, I'm Logan D. McCoy, and this is Real McCoy Reviews.